Don't touch that dress. You'll stain it before you can afford it. Larry Morgan's voice slices through the quiet of Maison du Luxe, like he owns every inch of that marble floor. The champagne silk catches the light just right, glowing under those boutique spotlights like liquid gold. Kelly Gray's fingertips barely graze the hem, but you can see it, that fabric trembling under her touch. For half a second, the whole store goes still, like even the air knew something was about to go left. Kelly turns around slow, real slow, 7 months pregnant, glowing in that way Black women do when they're carrying life and carrying themselves with dignity at the same time. No designer bag on her arm, no flashy jewelry, just a simple black maternity dress and the kind of quiet confidence that comes from building your own empire from the ground up. Her smile, polite, her mission simple. She saw that gown from the car window and fell in love. That's it. You heard me, Larry says, and his eyes do all the talking. Disgust written all over his face like a bad review. That dress costs more than your car. Step away. Each word lands like a punch. Small, calculated, designed to do one thing. Make her feel small. Make her remember her place. At least that's what he thinks. Kelly doesn't beg, doesn't flinch. She just meets his eyes and says, "I'd like to try it on." He laughs. That short, cold kind of laugh that ain't got no joy in it. With what? A layaway plan. The thrift store down the street is hiring, he snaps. This boutique is for our clients. Her jaw tightens, but her voice stays smooth as silk. Then ring me up. He steps closer. Too close. Invading her space like he got the right. And then the world shrinks down to one stupid, reckless move. Slap. The sound echoes off that marble like a gunshot in church. Kelly's hand rises to her cheek. The boutique music stops. Everything stops. Phones come out like clockwork, recording, flashing, capturing every second. Kelly presses her phone to her ear with a trembling hand and whispers 4 words. Not loud, not dramatic, just clear enough to be heard. You just made a mistake. It's quiet, but it carries weight. The kind of weight that says, you have no idea who you just put your hands on. And if you're wondering what happens next, keep watching. But first, go ahead and like this video and subscribe to Speak Black, because this story is about to get real interesting, real fast. 48 hours before all hell breaks loose, Larry's alarm cuts through the darkness at 5:47 a.m., 3 minutes before it needs to. Larry Morgan's hand shoots out, silencing it with the precision of a man who's mastered control over the small things in his life. The studio apartment is dim, cramped, but meticulously organized. Everything has its place. Everything serves a purpose. He lies there for 30 seconds, not resting, just staring at the water-stained ceiling, before swinging his legs out of bed. The sheets are expensive. Well, expensive looking. High thread count from an outlet mall. The kind that photograph well, but pill after 3 washes. It's the same philosophy he applies to everything. Look the part, even if you can't afford to be the part. The walls tell his story better than he ever could. Designer brand posters. Gucci, Louis Vuitton, Hermes, thumb-tacked to cheap drywall like vision boards from a prosperity gospel sermon. Each one is aspirational. Each one is a reminder of the life that exists just beyond his fingertips, close enough to touch at work, but never close enough to own. Larry moves through his morning ritual with military efficiency. 20 minutes of body weight exercises, push-ups, planks, squats, because gym memberships cost money and discipline is free. A protein shake mixed with tap water because the organic almond milk is $7 a carton. A shower that barely gets hot. Steam clouding the mirror just long enough for him to write his daily affirmation with his finger. Belong. He towels off and reaches for his phone. 3 emails. The first 2 are promotional. Luxury brands he can't afford sending him catalogs of dreams. The third one makes his stomach drop. Subject: Q4 performance review. Immediate action required. He opens it, skims past the corporate jargon until the numbers hit him like cold water. Store sales down 10% compared to last quarter. Management performance under review. Improvement plan required by end of month. Larry reads it twice, then a third time. His jaw clenches. 8 years. 8 years of 12-hour shifts, of memorizing client preferences, of perfecting the smile that made women feel safe spending their husband's money. 8 years of being the best dressed, most accommodating, most essential employee at Maison du Luxe. And this is what he gets? He sets the phone down carefully, like it might explode. Then he breathes, counts to 5, finds his center. This is temporary, he tells himself. They need me. They just don't know it yet. By 7:15 a.m., Larry's standing in front of his closet, if you can call 3 feet of hanging space a closet. The suit is sharp, charcoal gray, tailored within an inch of its life from a sample sale 2 years ago. The shoes are polished to a mirror shine. The cologne, borrowed. A tester bottle from the boutique, refilled every week when no one's looking. He practices his smile in the mirror. Not too wide. That reads desperate. Not too subtle. That reads cold. Right in the middle. Warm, professional, exclusive. The kind of smile that says, "You're special, and I'm here to help you feel even more special." He grabs his keys and heads out. The commute is 40 minutes of traffic and podcasts about self-made millionaires. Larry listens like a disciple, absorbing every word, every strategy, every reminder that success is just one smart decision away. He doesn't see the irony, that the millionaires on his speakers never had to steal cologne or live in 400 square feet. Maison du Luxe sits on Rodeo Drive like a jewel in a crown. All glass and marble and soft lighting that makes everything beau and everyone look expensive. Larry arrives 15 minutes early. Like always, he unlocks the front doors with a sense of ceremony, stepping into the cool, perfumed air like he's entering a cathedral. This is his domain. For the next 10 hours, he decides who gets to touch the silk blouses, who gets to try on the Italian leather boots, who gets escorted to the private viewing room with champagne and compliments. He adjusts a display, a cashmere scarf draped just so, and surveys his kingdom. "Morning, Larry." He turns. It's Simone, one of the junior associates. Young, pretty, eager to please. She looks at him the way most of the staff does, with a mix of respect and fear. He likes that. "Morning," he replies, his voice smooth. "Remember, we have the Westwood client coming in at 11. Make sure the VIP room is spotless." "Already done," she says quickly. "Good." He nods, dismissing her with a glance. The morning passes in a blur of transactions and performances. Larry greets a regular, Mrs. Chen, old money, quiet taste, with the exact level of deference that makes her feel seen without being fawned over. He helps a young tech executive pick out a bag for his girlfriend, subtly upselling him from the $3,000 option to the $5,500 one. It's an art form. Every word, every gesture, calibrated to extract maximum profit while maintaining the illusion of service. But between the smiles and the sales, there's a current of resentment running through him like a low-grade fever. He watches these people, the ones who walk in like they own the air, and he hates how easy it is for them. They don't know what it's like to perform luxury, to pretend you belong to a world that tolerates you, but will never accept you. At 2:30 p.m., a black woman walks in, mid-30s, dressed simply, no designer logos visible. She's looking at the window display with genuine interest, her eyes lingering on a silk evening gown. Larry watches her from behind the counter. His expression doesn't change, but something inside him hardens. Simone starts to move toward her, but Larry raises a hand. "I'll handle it," he says quietly. He approaches with his professional smile locked in place, but his eyes are doing the real work, scanning, assessing, categorizing. No Birkin, no Cartier, no wedding ring that cost more than a car. She doesn't belong here. "Can I help you find something?" he asks, his tone polite but cool. "Just browsing," she says with a smile. He nods, hovers, watches her fingers reach toward a display scarf, and he feels his jaw tighten. She picks it up, feels the fabric, checks the price tag. "That's $2,200, he offers, unprompted. She glances at him, still smiling. "I can see that." There's a beat. She puts the scarf back, thanks him, and leaves. Larry watches her go, then turns back to the counter. Simone is staring at him. "What?" he asks. She shakes her head. "Nothing." He straightens a stack of business cards and mutters under his breath, just loud enough for his own ears. "Some people just don't belong here." Kelly Gray wakes up at 6:00 a.m. to the sound of rain tapping against the bedroom window. Not the angry kind of rain, but the soft, rhythmic kind that makes you grateful for shelter and warmth. She lies there for a moment, one hand resting on the swell of her belly, feeling the baby shift and settle. 7 months. 7 months of growing life, growing dreams, growing into a version of herself she never imagined, back when she was sleeping on her cousin's couch with $200 to her name and a business plan sketched on napkins. She smiles in the dark. That was 15 years ago, a lifetime ago. Her husband, Marcus, is already up. She can hear him downstairs, probably making that green smoothie he swears will give her energy for the day. He's been like this since the second trimester. Attentive, protective, borderline obsessive about prenatal vitamins and hydration. She loves him for it. Kelly eases herself out of bed, her body moving slower these days, more deliberate. Everything takes longer when you're carrying another human inside you. She pads to the bathroom, catches her reflection in the mirror, and pauses. She looks good. Tired, yes. Swollen in places she didn't know could swell. Absolutely. But there's something else. A glow, people keep saying. That pregnancy glow everyone talks about, but you don't really believe until you see it on your own face. It's not just physical. It's deeper than that. It's contentment. It's peace. It's the knowledge that you built something from nothing. And now you're about to bring life into a world where you can actually provide. She smooths her hand over her belly again and whispers, "Morning, baby girl." By 8:30 a.m., Kelly's walking through the glass doors of Serenity Spa and Wellness, her flagship location in downtown Los Angeles. The third location she opened, and still her favorite. The scent of eucalyptus and lavender hits her immediately. calming and familiar. Soft music plays overhead. The lighting is warm, golden, designed to make every woman who walks in feel like she's stepping into a sanctuary. Because that's what Kelly built. Not just a spa. A space where Black women, brown women, women who've been overlooked and underestimated their whole lives, can come and be treated like queens. "Morning, Mrs. Gray." Tasha, the front desk manager, beams at her from behind the counter. Young, bright-eyed, a Howard graduate Kelly hired fresh out of college because she saw herself in that hunger, that ambition. "Morning, Tasha. How'd we do yesterday?" "Fully booked. Had to turn away 3 walk-ins." Kelly nods, pleased. "Good problem to have. Make sure you add them to the wait list and send a follow-up email. Personal touch." "Already done," Tasha says, grinning. Kelly makes her way through the spa, greeting her staff, the estheticians, the massage therapists, the women who keep this machine running smoothly. She knows all their names, knows their kids' names, knows who's saving for grad school and who just bought their first home. This isn't corporate America where employees are numbers on a spreadsheet. This is family. She stops by the break room, where 3 of her team members are prepping for the day. "Kelly!" Monica, one of her senior massage therapists, stands up to hug her. "Girl, you're glowing." "That's what everyone keeps saying." Kelly laughs, easing into a chair. "I just feel like a walking water balloon." "Trust me, you look amazing," Monica insists. "How much longer?" 2 months, give or take. "And you're still coming in every day?" "Where else would I be?" Kelly smiles. "Besides, Marcus won't let me do anything too strenuous. I'm mostly just managing and pretending I'm still in control." They laugh, and for a few minutes, Kelly just soaks it in. The warmth, the camaraderie, the evidence of everything she built. Not with a trust fund, not with investors or venture capital or a family legacy. Just grit, vision, and a refusal to accept the limits people tried to place on her. At 10:45 a.m., Kelly's in her office, a modest space, nothing too flashy, but comfortable, when her phone buzzes. She glances at the screen and smiles. Joan Johnson. She answers on the second ring. "Hey, stranger." "Kelly Gray, don't hey, stranger me when you've been dodging my calls for 2 weeks." Joan's voice comes through, mock offended but warm. They've been friends since college, when they were both broke and hungry and convinced they'd change the world. Joan went into fashion. Kelly went into wellness. Both of them made it happen. "I haven't been dodging you. I've been gestating." Kelly laughs. "There's a difference." "How's my goddaughter doing?" "She's active, kicking me in the ribs like she's training for the Olympics." "That's my girl," Joan says, and Kelly can hear the smile in her voice. "Listen, I know you're busy, but I wanted to tell you about this new project I'm working on." "Another boutique?" Kelly asks, leaning back in her chair. "Not just any boutique. High-end. Rodeo Drive. We're talking serious luxury, Kel. I'm talking about creating a space where we actually see ourselves reflected in that world. You know what I mean?" Kelly knows exactly what she means. How many times have they walked into designer stores and felt the shift, the subtle once-over, the delayed greeting, the assumption that they're just browsing and not buying? "I'm proud of you, Joan," Kelly says softly. "When's the grand opening?" "Still ironing out details with the partners, but soon. I'll send you an invite. You better come. Wouldn't miss it." They talk for another 10 minutes, about the baby, about Marcus, about Joan's complicated love life, before Kelly finally has to go. She hangs up feeling full, grateful, surrounded by love and success and the kind of life she used to dream about in that cramped studio apartment when she was 23 and terrified. By 2 p.m., Kelly's ready to head home. She's been on her feet too long, and her lower back is reminding her that rest isn't optional anymore. She says her goodbyes, grabs her purse, a simple black leather bag, well made but not branded, and heads to her car. The drive home takes her through Beverly Hills, and normally she'd take the side streets to avoid traffic. But today, something makes her take Rodeo Drive. Maybe it's the rain clearing up. Maybe it's the way the sunlight hits the storefronts, making everything look like a postcard. Maybe it's just instinct. She's stopped at a red light when she sees it. Maison du Luxe. The boutique sits between two other high-end stores, but something about it stands out. The window display is elegant. A champagne silk gown draped over a mannequin, surrounded by soft lighting and minimalist decor. It's stunning, simple but breathtaking. Kelly stares at it longer than she means to. She's not usually one for impulse buys, especially not designer gowns when she's 7 months pregnant. But something about that dress speaks to her. Maybe it's the color. Maybe it's the way the fabric seems to catch light, like liquid gold. Maybe it's the fact that she spent 15 years building something from nothing, and she's earned the right to treat herself. The light turns green, but Kelly doesn't move. The car behind her honks. She waves apologetically, pulls over to the curb, and parks. For a moment, she just sits there, engine idling, staring at the boutique. When's the last time I did something just for me? She thinks about the nursery at home, still half finished, the hospital bag she needs to pack, the birth plan she and Marcus need to finalize. Everything has been about preparation, about responsibility, about making sure this baby comes into a stable, loving world. But right now, in this moment, Kelly wants something different. She wants to walk into that beautiful store, try on that beautiful dress, and remember what it feels like to be a woman who isn't just a mother-to-be or a business owner or a wife. Just Kelly. Just a woman who saw something she loved and decided she deserved it. She turns off the engine, checks her reflection in the rearview mirror, and steps out of the car. The air is cooler now, post-rain fresh. Kelly smooths down her black maternity dress, comfortable, modest, nothing flashy, and walks toward Maison du Luxe. Her flats click softly against the wet pavement. She's aware, suddenly, of how simple she looks compared to the other women on this street. Designer bags, tailored coats, jewelry that costs more than most people's rent. But Kelly's never been one to feel less than. She built an empire. She employs 37 people across 3 locations. She's created generational wealth for her family. A dress is just a dress. She reaches the boutique door and pauses, her hand on the polished brass handle. Through the glass, she can see the interior. Marble floors, soft lighting, elegance dripping from every corner. It's beautiful. Intimidating, maybe, but beautiful. She takes a breath, feels the baby shift inside her like a little nudge of encouragement, and pulls the door open. The boutique is quiet, almost reverent, the kind of silence that feels expensive. A few other customers are browsing. An older white woman in pearls, a younger Asian woman in head-to-toe Chanel. No one looks up when Kelly enters. She walks slowly toward the window display, her eyes fixed on the champagne silk gown. Up close, it's even more stunning. The fabric has a subtle sheen, delicate beading along the neckline. It's the kind of dress you wear to a gala, to a milestone event, to a moment you want to remember forever. Kelly reaches out, her fingertips barely grazing the hem, and that's when she hears it. "Don't touch that dress. You'll stain it before you can afford it." The voice cuts through the quiet like a blade, cold, sharp, contemptuous. Kelly freezes. Her hand hovers over the fabric. For half a second, she thinks she misheard, that the words weren't meant for her, that this is some kind of misunderstanding. But then she turns, and she sees him, a man in a sharp suit, mid-30s, standing a few feet away with his arms crossed. His expression is polite on the surface, but his eyes tell a different story. They're doing the work his mouth won't say out loud, scanning, judging, dismissing. Kelly's heart starts to pound, but her face remains calm. She's dealt with men like this before, men who look at her and see limitation instead of achievement, men who mistake her kindness for weakness. She opens her mouth to respond, but before she can, he steps closer, and everything changes. The first thing that hits Kelly when she steps fully inside Maison du Luxe is the scent. Not perfume exactly, though there's that too. Expensive and floral, drifting from the candles stationed on marble pedestals. But something deeper. It's the smell of money, of leather and silk and wood polish and exclusivity. It's the kind of scent that doesn't exist in the real world, only in places where the price tags have commas and the customers have personal shoppers. The second thing is the silence. Not dead silence, but curated quiet. Soft piano music plays from hidden speakers. Something classical. Something that makes you feel like you should whisper. The lighting is amber and warm, designed to make skin look flawless and fabric look like liquid. Everything gleams. The marble floors reflect the overhead chandeliers like still water. The displays are spaced apart with the kind of confidence that says, "We don't need to crowd you with options. Each piece here is worth your attention." Kelly takes it all in, her flats clicking softly against the marble as she moves deeper into the boutique. She's aware of the other customers now. The older white woman in pearls glancing at a cashmere wrap. The younger woman with the Chanel bag examining a pair of sunglasses like they're art. No one acknowledges her. That's fine. She's not here for validation. She's here for the dress. It's still there in the window display. The champagne silk catching the light like something out of a dream. Up close, Kelly can see the craftsmanship, the way the beading along the neckline is hand-stitched, the way the fabric drapes with a weight that screams quality. It's the kind of gown you wear once and remember forever. The kind of gown that makes you feel like you've earned something. Kelly reaches out slowly, her fingers hovering over the hem. The fabric is cool to the touch, smooth as water. She lets her hand rest there for just a moment, imagining what it would feel like to wear it. Not now, obviously. Not 7 months pregnant with swollen feet and a lower back that screams every time she stands too long. But later, after the baby, after her body is hers again. A celebration. A gift to herself for making it through. She's smiling, lost in the fantasy, when the voice shatters it. "Don't touch that dress. You'll stain it before you can afford it." The words land like ice water. Kelly's hand freezes on the fabric. Her smile falters. For half a second, she thinks she misheard, that the voice was directed at someone else, that this is some kind of mistake. But when she turns, she sees him. Larry Morgan. Though she doesn't know his name yet, all she sees is a man in a tailored charcoal suit, standing a few feet away with his arms crossed over his chest like a bouncer at a velvet rope. His expression is polite, the kind of polite that's been practiced in a mirror, but his eyes are doing all the real talking. They're cold, assessing, dismissive. Kelly straightens slowly, her hand falling away from the dress. She meets his gaze and keeps her voice level. "Excuse me?" "That gown," Larry says, his tone smooth as oil, "is one of our signature pieces. It's very delicate. We prefer customers handle it with care." He pauses, lets the words hang in the air like smoke. "Or not at all." There's a beat. Kelly processes the subtext, the thinly veiled insult wrapped in corporate speak. She's dealt with this before, the assumptions, the microaggressions, the way some people look at a black woman and see a threat to their carefully curated space. But it still stings. Every single time, it stings. She forces a smile. "I understand. I'd like to try it on." Larry's jaw tightens just slightly. His eyes flick down to her belly, then back up to her face. "It's not maternity wear." "I'm aware," Kelly says calmly. "I'm not buying it for now. I'm buying it for after." "After," he repeats, like the word tastes bad in his mouth. "After I have my baby," she clarifies, her patience thinning. "I'd like to see how it fits." Larry doesn't move. He just stands there, blocking her path to the dressing rooms like a human firewall. Behind him, Kelly notices movement. The other customers are starting to pay attention. The woman in pearls has stopped pretending to look at scarves. The younger woman with the Chanel bag is watching openly now, her phone half raised like she's waiting for something to happen. "Ma'am," Larry says, and the word "ma'am" comes out like an insult. "That dress is $12,000. It's custom Italian silk. It's not something we just hand out for people to try on." Kelly blinks. "I'm not asking you to hand it out. I'm asking to try it on so I can purchase it. Do you have an appointment?" "I didn't know I needed one. For pieces in this price range, we typically require—" "I can afford it," Kelly cuts in, her voice still calm, but edged with steel now. She's tired, her feet hurt, her back is killing her. And she's not about to stand here and justify her existence to a man in a borrowed suit who thinks a job title makes him a gatekeeper. Larry's smile doesn't reach his eyes. "I'm sure you think you can." The words land like a slap. Not physical, but close enough. Kelly feels her chest tighten. Around them, the boutique has gone completely silent. Even the piano music seems to fade into the background. The other customers aren't even pretending to shop anymore. They're just watching, waiting. Kelly takes a breath. "What exactly are you implying?" "I am not implying anything," Larry says, his voice maddeningly calm. "I'm simply saying that this boutique caters to a very specific clientele. Our customers understand the value of what we offer. They don't come in off the street and..." "And what?" Kelly's voice rises just slightly, enough to cut through his corporate doublespeak. "Touch things? Exist in your space? I'm sorry, am I bothering you by being here?" Larry's mask slips. Just for a second, but it's enough. His expression hardens. His eyes go cold. "You people always do this," he mutters, barely loud enough for her to hear. "You come in here, act like you belong, touch everything, waste our time, and then leave without buying a damn thing." Kelly goes still. The words echo in her head. "You people." She's heard it before, 1,000 times. In 1,000 different ways. But it never stops feeling like a punch to the gut. "You people," she repeats slowly, her voice dangerously quiet. Larry realizes his mistake too late. He tries to backtrack, his corporate smile snapping back into place like a mask. I didn't mean, no, say it again. Kelly interrupts, stepping closer. Say what you really mean. You think I can't afford that dress because of what? My clothes? My car? Or is it something else? Something you can see but don't want to say out loud? The boutique is a tomb now. Every eye is on them. The woman in pearls has her hand over her mouth. The younger woman's phone is up, recording openly now. Even the staff, a young woman behind the counter, frozen mid-transaction, are staring. Larry's face flushes. He opens his mouth, closes it, then opens it again. You need to leave. I'm a customer, Kelly says firmly. I came in to buy a dress. I have money. I have a credit card. I have every right to be here. Not if you're going to cause a scene, Larry snaps, his voice rising now. His composure is cracking, the professional veneer peeling away to reveal something uglier underneath. This is a place of business. We have standards. We have a reputation to protect, and I'm not going to let you. Let me. Kelly's voice cuts through his like a blade. You're not going to you. Let me. Larry steps closer. Too close. Close enough that Kelly can smell the cologne. Expensive, stolen, borrowed. Close enough that she can see the rage in his eyes, the frustration of a man who's been performing control his whole life and suddenly feels it slipping. That dress, he hisses, is worth more than whatever car you drove here in. You think you can just walk in here, pregnant, dressed like you're going to a supermarket, and put your hands on something you'll never be able to afford? Before you stain that dress with your skin? The words hang in the air like poison. Kelly's breath catches. Not because she's hurt, though she is, but because she can't believe he actually said it. Out loud. In front of witnesses. In 2025. She opens her mouth to respond. And that's when he does it. Larry's hand comes up fast. Not a punch, but a slap. Open palm. The sound cracks through the boutique like a gunshot, sharp and violent and impossible to ignore. Kelly's head stops to the side. Her hand flies to her cheek. The sting is immediate, hot and spreading like fire across her skin. For a moment, she can't move. Can't breathe. Can't process what just happened. The boutique erupts. Oh my God, did he just hit her? Someone call the police. Phones come out like wildfire. Cameras flash. Videos start rolling. The woman in pearls is shouting something Kelly can't hear over the ringing in her ears. The younger woman is already backing toward the door, her phone aimed at Larry like a weapon. Kelly's hand is still on her cheek. She can feel the heat, the throbbing, the perfect imprint of his fingers on her skin. She turns slowly to face him. Larry is frozen. His hand is still raised, trembling slightly, like even he can't believe what he just did. His face has gone white. His eyes are wide, panicked. Kelly stares at him. Not with anger. Not yet. Just disbelief. And beneath that, something colder, something sharper. She lowers her hand from her cheek, takes a breath. And when she speaks, her voice is so quiet that everyone has to lean in to hear it. You just made the biggest mistake of your life. She doesn't yell, doesn't cry, doesn't give him the satisfaction of a reaction. She just reaches into her purse, pulls out her phone, and presses it to her ear. Her hands are shaking, but her voice is steady. She whispers 4 words, not loud, Not dramatic, just clear. "Joan, it's me." Then she turns and walks toward the door. Her flats click against the marble, each step measured and deliberate. She doesn't look back, doesn't acknowledge the phones recording her exit, the gasps, the whispers, the chaos she's leaving behind. She pushes through the glass doors and steps out into the sunlight. Behind her, inside Maison du Luxe, Larry Morgan stands alone in the center of the boutique, surrounded by witnesses and cameras, and the sinking realization that his life, as he knows it, just ended. 6:47 p.m. Brianna Torres is 17 years old, a senior at Beverly Hills High, and she's supposed to be studying for her AP government exam. Instead, she's sitting in a Starbucks 3 blocks from Rodeo Drive, scrolling through the footage she recorded 2 hours ago. She's watched it maybe 12 times now. Each time, her stomach drops at the same moment. The crack of the slap, the way the pregnant woman's head snaps to the side, the silence that follows like the world just stopped spinning. Brianna wasn't even supposed to be in that boutique. She was killing time while her mom finished a facial at the spa next door. She wandered into Maison du Luxe because it looked fancy and she was bored. And then she saw it. The argument, the escalation, the moment that man's hand connected with that woman's face. She pulled out her phone on instinct, started recording, captured everything. Now she's staring at the video on her screen, her thumb hovering over the upload button. She knows what happens when videos like this go live. She's seen it before. The comments, the shares, the way the internet turns into a courtroom with no judge and no mercy. But she also saw the look on that woman's face, the dignity, the way she walked out of that store with her head high, even though her hand was trembling against her cheek. Brianna takes a breath and uploads the video to TikTok. Caption: Manager at luxury store on Rodeo. Slaps pregnant black woman for touching a dress. This is 2025. Justice for Kelly. Luxury while black, #disgusting. She hits post, and then she waits. 7:15 p.m. Kelly sits on the edge of her bed, Marcus kneeling in front of her with an ice pack pressed gently to her cheek. His hands are shaking. She can see the rage in his eyes, the way his jaw clenches every time he looks at the red mark blooming across her brown skin. "We're pressing charges," he says for the 3rd time. His voice is tight, controlled, but barely. "I'm calling our lawyer. I'm calling the police. I'm calling the—" "Marcus." Kelly's voice is soft but firm. She places her hand over his. "Breathe. Breathe." His eyes flash. "Kelly, he put his hands on you. On you. You're 7 months pregnant and he—" His voice cracks. He stops, closes his eyes, takes a breath that sounds like it hurts. Kelly watches him, her heart aching. She knows what he's feeling. The helplessness, the fury, the guilt that comes with not being there to protect her. She's felt it before, in different contexts, in different moments, when the world reminded her that her safety isn't guaranteed just because she's done everything right. "I know," she says quietly, "but I need you to breathe, because I need you clear-headed right now." Marcus opens his eyes, looks at her, nods slowly. Kelly's phone buzzes on the nightstand. It's been buzzing non-stop for the past hour. Texts, calls, notifications piling up faster than she can process. She glances at the screen. 37 missed calls, 82 text messages. Her social media notifications are in the thousands. She doesn't understand it yet. She called Joan from the car, told her what happened, heard the shock and fury in her best friend's voice. But that was it. She came home. She told Marcus. She put ice on her face and tried to make sense of what just happened. She didn't expect this. Marcus picks up her phone, scrolls through the notifications, and goes still. Kelly. What? He turns the screen toward her. It's a TikTok video. The thumbnail shows her standing in Maison du Luxe, her hand raised to her cheek. The view count is climbing in real time. 47,000, 48,000, 50,000. Kelly takes the phone with trembling hands and presses play. The video is shaky but clear. She watches herself reach for the dress, watches Larry approach. Hears his voice, "Don't touch that dress. You'll stain it before you can afford it." Watches the argument unfold, every word captured, every insult preserved. And then the slap. The sound is worse on video somehow. Louder, more violent. The video ends with her walking out, dignified and silent. Kelly's breath catches. She watches it again and again. Seeing herself from the outside is surreal. She looks calm, composed, even in the moment of impact. But she remembers what it felt like. The shock, the humiliation, the sting that wasn't just physical. She scrolls down to the comments. They're flooding in faster than she can read. At Melanin Queen. I'm sick. This is why I don't shop in those stores. Justice for all. His name is Larry Morgan, manager at Maison du Luxe. Blast him. Mom off 3. She's pregnant. He put his hands on a pregnant woman. I'm done. At Black Excellence. They see us and assume we're broke. Every single time. Kelly's hands start to shake. Not from fear, but from something else. Something she can't quite name yet. It's not anger exactly. It's bigger than that. It's the weight of every time this has happened to her friends, to her mother, to every black woman who's ever walked into a space and been told she doesn't belong. Marcus takes the phone from her gently. Kelly, this is everywhere. She looks up at him. What do you mean everywhere? Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. It's trending. Hashtag justice for Kelly is the #3 hashtag in the country right now. Kelly blinks. She doesn't know what to say, doesn't know what to feel. Part of her is relieved that people see it, that it's not just her word against his. But another part of her feels exposed, vulnerable, like her pain is being consumed by strangers who don't know her, don't know what it took for her to walk into that store in the first place. Her phone buzzes again. This time it's a call. She glances at the screen. Los Angeles Times. She declines it. Another call. CNN. She declines that too. Marcus sits beside her on the bed, his arm around her shoulders. What do you want to do? Kelly closes her eyes, feels the baby kick inside her, a little reminder that this isn't just about her anymore. Everything she does now, every decision she makes, will follow this child into the world. I want accountability, she says finally. I don't want pity. I don't want to be a victim. I just want him to understand that he can't do this. Not to me. Not to anyone. Marcus nods. Then we fight. Then we fight, Kelly echoes. 8:32 p.m. Larry Morgan sits on his couch, phone in hand, watching his life implode in real time. The video has been shared 200,000 times. His name is trending. His face, A screenshot from the video, mid-slap, is being plastered across every social media platform like a wanted poster. The comments are vicious, unrelenting, creative in their cruelty. #karma comes fast. Hope you enjoyed your job, Larry. It's gone. @boycott luxury. Never shopping at Maison de Luxe again. Ever. Hollywood T. This man really slapped a pregnant woman and thought he'd get away with it in 2025? Sir? Larry's hands are shaking. He's refreshed his Instagram 17 times in the past 10 minutes. His follower count is dropping like a stone. His DMs are flooded with death threats, insults, people telling him to kill himself, to lose his job, to disappear. He tries to tell himself it'll blow over, that the internet has a short memory, that by tomorrow, people will be outraged about something else. But deep down, he knows better. His phone rings. Corporate. He's been ignoring their calls for the past hour, but he can't anymore. He answers. Larry. The voice on the other end is Mr. Carmichael, regional director. His tone is ice. What the hell did you do? Sir, I can explain. Explain. Larry, there's a video of you assaulting a customer with 10 million views. What could you possibly explain? She was... Larry stops, tries to find the words. She was being difficult. She wouldn't leave. I was just trying to protect the merchandise. You put your hands on a pregnant woman. Carmichael interrupts, his voice rising. In front of witnesses, in front of cameras. Do you have any idea what you've done? To yourself? To this company? Larry's mouth goes dry. I didn't mean... You're suspended. Effective immediately. Do not come into work tomorrow. Do not speak to the media. Do not do anything until our legal team contacts you. Do you understand? Sir, please. The line goes dead. Larry sits in the silence of his apartment, staring at the phone in his hand. Suspended. The word echoes in his head like a death sentence. He's been suspended before, once for being late too many times. But this is different. This is the kind of suspension that doesn't end with a slap on the wrist and a return to normalcy. This is the kind that ends with termination. He opens Twitter. The trending page is a nightmare. Fire. Larry Morgan. Justice for Kelly. Luxury while black. He clicks on his own name and immediately regrets it. Someone has posted his address, his phone number, his LinkedIn profile, his ex-girlfriend's Instagram, everything. He's being doxxed. His phone buzzes. Text from Simone, the junior associate. Larry, I'm so sorry. They're asking all of us to make statements. I don't know what to say. Another text. This one from a coworker he barely knows. Dude, you're done. Larry drops the phone and puts his head in his hands. 11:43 p.m. Joan Johnson is lying in bed, scrolling through Instagram, when the video appears on her feed. At first, she doesn't recognize it. Just another viral outrage clip. Another day on the internet. But then she sees the boutique interior. The marble floors. The champagne silk dress in the window display. That's her store. She sits up, heart pounding, and unmutes the video. The audio plays. The argument. The slap. And then the woman turns, and Joan sees her face. Kelly. No, Joan whispers. No, no, no. She watches the video 3 times, her hands shaking, her stomach twisting into knots. She sees her best friend's face, sees the red mark on her cheek, sees the dignity in her exit. And then she sees him, Larry Morgan, the manager she hired 6 months ago because he had a good resume, good references, good everything on paper. Joan's phone is already ringing before she realizes she's calling. Marcus answers on the first ring. Marcus, is she okay? I just saw. She's okay, Marcus says, but his voice is tight. Physically, anyway. I'm coming over. Joan, it's almost midnight. I don't care, I'm coming over. She's already out of bed, pulling on jeans. That's my store. That's my employee. This is on me. Joan, I'll be there in 20 minutes. She hangs up, grabs her keys, and runs. 11:47 p.m. Joan Johnson sits in her car outside Kelly's house, engine still running, hands gripping the steering wheel like it's the only thing keeping her from flying apart. She's been sitting here for 3 minutes. Can't move, can't think, can't process what she just watched. Her phone is in the passenger seat, screen still glowing with the video. She's watched it 7 times now. 7 times she's seen Larry Morgan, her manager, her hire, her mistake, put his hands on Kelly Gray. On Kelly, her best friend. Her sister in every way that matters except blood. Joan's chest tightens. She can't breathe right. Can't get air past the guilt lodged in her throat like a stone. She picks up the phone again, watches it one more time. The way Kelly reaches for the dress with such genuine appreciation. The way Larry approaches, his body language already aggressive, already dismissive. The words, "Don't touch that dress. You'll stain it before you can afford it." Joan flinches every time she hears them. And then the slap, that sound, that horrible sharp crack that makes Joan want to scream. She closes her eyes and remembers. 3 weeks ago, they're sitting in Joan's living room, wine glasses in hand, sparkling cider for Kelly because of the baby, and Joan is buzzing with excitement she can barely contain. "Okay, I can't keep this secret anymore," Joan says, grinning. "I've been working on something big, like career-defining big." Kelly leans forward, smiling. "Tell me." "I'm opening a luxury boutique. Rodeo Drive, full ownership. Well, mostly. I have investors, but I'm the majority stakeholder. It's everything I've dreamed about, Kel. High-end fashion, but with intention. A space where we actually see ourselves reflected. Where black women, brown women, anyone who's ever been made to feel like they don't belong in those spaces can walk in and be treated like royalty." Kelly's eyes light up. "Joan, that's incredible." "It's terrifying," Joan admits, laughing. "But it's happening. We open in 2 months, and I want you there. Front row, VIP treatment, the works." "I wouldn't miss it," Kelly says, raising her glass. "To Joan Johnson, the badass boutique owner who's about to change the game." They clink glasses. They laugh. They dream about the future. Joan never imagined that future would include this. 11:51 p.m. Joan snaps back to the present, her eyes burning with unshed tears. She wipes her face roughly and gets out of the car. The night air is cool, quiet, the kind of peaceful that feels wrong given the chaos unfolding online. She walks up to the front door and knocks softly. Doesn't want to wake the whole neighborhood, but she needs Kelly to know she's here. Marcus opens the door. His face is drawn, exhausted. But when he sees Joan, something softens. She's in the living room. Joan steps inside and follows him. The house is warm, lived in, filled with the kind of details that make it a home. Family photos on the walls, a half-finished puzzle on the coffee table, baby shoes on the mantel waiting for tiny feet. Kelly is sitting on the couch, wrapped in a blanket, her phone face down beside her. The ice pack is gone, but Joan can still see the mark on her cheek. Faint now, but visible. Proof. Kelly, Joan breathes. Kelly looks up. Their eyes meet, and something breaks in Joan's chest. She crosses the room in 3 strides and pulls Kelly into a hug. Not too tight, mindful of the belly, the baby, the fragility of the moment, but firm enough to say, "I'm here. I'm so sorry. I'm here." Kelly hugs her back, and for a moment, neither of them speaks. "I should have told you," Joan finally whispers. "About the store. I wanted it to be a surprise, but if I'd just told you, maybe you wouldn't have—" "Joan." Kelly pulls back, her hands on Joan's shoulders. This isn't your fault." "He works for me," Joan says, her voice cracking. "I hired him. I vetted him. I put him in a position of power and he used it to hurt you. How is that not my fault?" "Because you didn't slap me," Kelly says firmly. "He did. You're not responsible for his choices." "But I'm responsible for mine," Joan counters. "And I chose him. I chose wrong." Marcus appears with a glass of water and sets it on the table. "Joan, Kelly's right. You couldn't have known. I should have," Joan insists. She sinks into the chair across from Kelly, her head in her hands. There were signs, small things. The way he talked about certain customers. The way he'd get defensive when I brought up diversity training. I ignored it because he was good at his job. Because the numbers looked good. Because I wanted to believe that people could separate their personal biases from their professional behavior. Kelly reaches across and takes Joan's hand. "What are you going to do?" Joan looks up. Her eyes are red but clear, determined. "I'm going to fix this." 12:03 a.m. Joan is pacing in Kelly's guest room, phone pressed to her ear, waiting for someone to pick up. It rings 4 times before a groggy voice answers. "Joan, it's midnight." "What?" "David, I need you to set up an emergency board call, now." David Chen, her head of operations and the only person she trusts to execute under pressure, goes silent for a beat. "What happened?" "You haven't seen the video?" "What video?" Joan exhales slowly. "Check Twitter. #JusticeForKelly. Call me back in 5 minutes." She hangs up and dials the next number. Her lawyer, Patricia Okafor, answers on the second ring. Lawyers never sleep. "Joan." "Patricia, I need you to draft a termination letter. Effective immediately. Grounds: assault, violation of company policy, conduct unbecoming. I need it airtight. No severance, no negotiation." "Who are we terminating?" "Larry Morgan, store manager. You'll see why when you watch the video that's currently destroying my brand." Patricia is quiet for exactly 3 seconds. "Send me the link. I'll have the letter ready in an hour." "Thank you." Joan hangs up and dials her PR director, Michelle Torres. "Joan, I was just about to call you. You've seen it?" "The whole world has seen it," Michelle says. "We're getting buried. Instagram, Twitter, TikTok. Every platform is calling for boycotts. The hashtag boycott Maison du Luxe is trending. We've lost 3,000 followers in the past 2 hours. Joan closes her eyes. "I need you to draft a statement. We're going full transparency. No corporate doublespeak. No, we're looking into it. We're owning this. What do you want to say?" Joan pauses, thinks about Kelly sitting in the living room with a mark on her face, thinks about every Black woman who's ever been made to feel less than, in a space that should welcome her. thinks about the business. She built on the dream of dignity and respect. I want to say the truth, Joan says quietly. That we failed, that I failed, and that we're going to do better. 1:47 a.m. The emergency board call happens over Zoom. 6 faces staring back at Joan from their respective homes, all of them looking some combination of exhausted, confused, and concerned. Thank you for joining on short notice, Joan begins. By now, I assume you've all seen the video. Heads nod. One of the investors, Richard Callahan, clears his throat. Joan, we need to talk damage control. This is a PR nightmare. We need to distance the brand from Leifka. We're not distancing anything, Joan interrupts. Her voice is calm but firm. We are taking responsibility. Taking responsibility. Another investor, Susan Marks, leans forward. Joan, with all due respect, you weren't even there. This was one employee acting independently. One employee I hired, Joan cuts in. One employee who represented our brand, our values, our mission, and he assaulted a customer, a pregnant black woman, in our store, on camera. We don't get to distance ourselves from that. Richard looks uncomfortable. Joan, I understand you're upset, but we have shareholders to think about. The financial implications. The financial implications of doing the right thing. Joan's voice rises slightly. Or the financial implications of protecting a man who put his hands on a woman in our store. Silence. Joan takes a breath. Larry Morgan is terminated. Effective immediately. No severance. We're releasing a public statement tonight. We're committing to mandatory bias training for all staff, and we're making a public donation to organizations that support women of color in business. Joan, Susan starts. This isn't up for debate, Joan says, her tone leaving no room for argument. This is my company. I'm the majority stakeholder, and I will not build my legacy on the back of someone else's trauma, especially not my best friends. The words land like a bomb. Your best friend? Richard blinks. The woman in the video is your friend? My best friend, Joan confirms. Kelly Gray. And even if she wasn't, I'd be making the same decision. Because this is about more than one incident. It's about what we stand for. There's a long pause. Then David speaks up, his voice steady. I support Joan's decision. We do this right or we don't do it at all. One by one, the others nod. Some reluctantly, some with genuine conviction. But they all nod. Good, Joan says. Michelle will send the statement for approval in the next hour. We go live at 1 a.m. She ends the call and sits back, her hands shaking slightly. She did it. She made the call. Now comes the hard part. 1:03 a.m. The statement goes live across all of Maison du Luxe's social media platforms simultaneously. A message from Joan Johnson, founder and CEO of Maison du Luxe. Tonight, I watched a video that broke my heart and shattered my trust. A video showing one of my employees assaulting a customer in my store. A pregnant woman. A black woman. A woman who came in looking for a dress and left with a mark on her face and a violation she will never forget. Her name is Kelly Gray, and she is my best friend. But even if she wasn't, this would be unacceptable. There is no excuse, no justification, no defense. Effective immediately, the employee responsible has been terminated. He will never work in my establishment again. We are cooperating fully with any legal proceedings Kelly chooses to pursue. Maison du Luxe was built on a promise to create a space where luxury and dignity coexist, where every woman, regardless of race, background, or appearance, is treated with the respect she deserves. Tonight, we failed that promise. I failed that promise. We will do better. We are implementing mandatory bias training for all staff. We are reviewing our hiring practices. And we are making a $100,000 donation to organizations supporting women of color in business. To Kelly, I am so deeply sorry for what happened, for the pain you endured, for the fact that it happened in a space I created. You deserved better. You deserve everything. And to everyone watching, we hear you, we see you, and we will earn back your trust. Joan Johnson. The statement is shared 50,000 times in the first 10 minutes. The comments pour in. Truth teller. This is how you take accountability. No excuses. Just action. Black girl magic. Joan Johnson just became my new hero. Brand watch. The fact that it was her best friend makes this even more powerful. She chose integrity over optics. At Honest Tea, I was ready to cancel them forever. But this is how you do it right. Joan watches the response from her car, still parked outside Kelly's house. The anger is still there in the comments, but it's shifting, softening, turning into something that looks almost like respect. Her phone rings. It's Michelle. Joan, the response is, it's overwhelming. In a good way. People are calling you brave, authentic. The boycott hashtag is slowing down. I don't care about the hashtag, Joan says quietly. I care about Kelly. I know, Michelle says, but for what it's worth, you did the right thing. Joan hangs up and walks back into the house. Kelly is still on the couch, Marcus beside her, both of them staring at a phone screen. Kelly looks up when Joan enters. Her eyes are wet. You didn't have to do that, Kelly whispers. Yes, I did, Joan says, sitting down beside her. You're my family, and even if you weren't, it would still be the right thing to do. Kelly reaches for her hand, squeezes. Thank you. Joan squeezes back. We're going to fix this. All of it. 7:23 a.m., the morning after. The video hits morning television before most people finish their first cup of coffee. Good Morning America leads with it. Robin Roberts sits at the anchor desk, her expression somber as the chyron scrolls across the bottom of the screen. Pregnant woman assaulted in luxury store. Video sparks outrage. We want to warn you, Robin says, her voice measured. The video you're about to see is disturbing. They play it, all of it. The confrontation, the insult, the slap. And then Kelly's exit, dignified despite everything. Robin turns to her co-host, Michael Strahan, and the pain is visible on both their faces. This isn't just about one man's actions, Michael says, shaking his head. This is about a culture that still looks at black women and sees less than. That looks at a pregnant woman and sees a threat instead of a customer. The segment goes viral within minutes. 8:15 a.m. On Twitter, the world is on fire. Celebrities weigh in, their blue checkmarks amplifying the outrage to millions of followers. Some mayos. Issa Rae. Watched that Maison du Luxe video and I'm sick. This is 2025 and we're still dealing with this? That woman deserves justice. # justice for Kelly. # John Legend. A pregnant black woman slapped for touching a dress. Let that sink in. This isn't about luxury retail. It's about dignity. It's about humanity. Do better. Lupita Nyong'o. I've walked into stores and felt that look, that assessment, that silent, you don't belong here. But this is violence, and it has to stop. Luxury while black. Oprah. Before you stain that dress with your skin. Those words, that man's hand, that woman's dignity. We see you, Kelly Gray. We stand with you. The hashtag, Justice for Kelly, is the #1 trend worldwide. Over 3 million tweets. Over 15 million engagements. People aren't just sharing the video, they're sharing their own stories. Michelle J. NYC. I was followed around Saks for 20 minutes because they thought I was shoplifting. I was wearing a Rolex and carrying a Birkin, but my skin told them a different story. Tyler King, 89. My wife and I walked into a jewelry store to buy her an anniversary gift. They asked if we needed payment plan options before we even looked at anything. We walked out. Jasmine writes, once had a sales associate literally take a blouse out of my hands and say, "This might be out of your price range." It was $150. I make 6 figures, but I'm black, so. The stories pour in, thousands of them. Each one a reminder that what happened to Kelly isn't isolated. It's systemic. It's a pattern. It's a wound that's been festering for generations. 9:47 a.m. CNN convenes a panel. Legal analysts, civil rights activists, cultural commentators, all dissecting the incident from every angle. This isn't just assault, says civil rights attorney Benjamin Crump, his voice firm. This is a hate crime. The language Larry Morgan used, before you stain that dress with your skin. That's not ambiguous. That's racism. Plain and simple. The host, Anderson Cooper, nods. And legally, where does this stand? Kelly Gray has grounds for a lawsuit. Another panelist, attorney Lisa Bloom, explains. Battery, assault, intentional infliction of emotional distress. And given that this happened in a commercial setting, on camera, with witnesses, this is a slam dunk case. Larry Morgan is finished. But what about the store? Anderson asks. Maison du Luxe released a statement last night. They terminated him immediately. Does that protect them from liability? It helps, Lisa admits, but they're not off the hook. Kelly could argue that the store created an environment where this behavior was possible, that their hiring practices, their training, their culture allowed someone like Larry Morgan to feel empowered enough to put his hands on a customer. The camera cuts to another panelist, cultural critic Dr. Imani Perry. Can we talk about what this really represents? She asks, leaning forward. A pregnant black woman walks into a luxury store and is told she doesn't belong. She's insulted. She's struck. And why? Because someone looked at her and made assumptions based on her skin, her clothes, her perceived worth. This isn't about one man. This is about power. This is about who gets to occupy space, who gets to touch beautiful things, who gets to exist without being questioned. The segment ends with a montage of protests already forming outside Maison du Luxe's Rodeo Drive location. Signs that read, "Respect isn't a luxury. Black dollars matter. Kelly Gray deserves justice." 10:33 a.m. Investigative journalists do what they do best. They dig. By mid-morning, Larry Morgan's past is being excavated like an archaeological site. Former co-workers come forward. Former customers. People who stayed silent before, but now feel emboldened to speak. BuzzFeed News publishes an article titled, "He's Done This Before." Former employees say Maison du Luxe manager had a pattern of discrimination. The article includes interviews with 3 former staff members, all speaking anonymously. Former employee number 1. Larry had a way of watching certain customers, especially Black and Latino customers. He'd hover, make comments under his breath. Once, I saw him follow a Black teenager around the store for 15 minutes. The kid was just looking at shoes. Larry called security. Turned out the kid's mom was a doctor. She filed a complaint, but nothing happened. Former employee number 2. He'd make jokes in air quotes, about who could afford what, about who fit the brand image. We all knew what he meant. But he was good at his job, so management looked the other way. Former employee number 3. I quit because of him. I'm Latina, and he made comments about my accent, about whether I understood luxury clientele. When I reported it to HR, they said it was a misunderstanding. That's when I knew I had to leave. The article goes viral. Over 2 million views in 3 hours. Other outlets pile on. The Washington Post runs an op-ed. The SLAP heard around the world. Why Kelly Gray's story matters. The Guardian publishes Luxury While Black. The hidden discrimination in high-end retail. Larry Morgan isn't just a name anymore. He's a symbol, a case study, a cautionary tale. 11:58 a.m. Kelly sits in her living room, Marcus beside her, scrolling through her phone with a mixture of awe and exhaustion. The support is overwhelming, beautiful. Strangers sending love, sharing their stories, promising to stand with her. But it's also suffocating. Her inbox is flooded with interview requests. The View, Ellen, TMZ, The New York Times. Everyone wants a piece of her story. Everyone wants her pain packaged into a sound bite. She sets the phone down and closes her eyes. You okay? Marcus asks softly. I don't know, Kelly admits. It's bigger than me now. I just wanted to buy a dress. And now I'm a hashtag. A movement, a symbol. I didn't ask for this. I know, Marcus says, rubbing her back gently. But maybe the world needed it. Maybe this is bigger than just you. Kelly opens her eyes and looks at him. What if I can't carry it? What if I'm not strong enough to be what they need me to be? You don't have to be anything, Marcus says firmly. You just have to be Kelly, that's enough. Her phone buzzes. A text from Joan. Can I come see you? I want to talk about next steps. No pressure. Just us. Kelly stares at the message for a long moment, then types back. Come over. I'm ready to talk. 1:15 p.m. Joan arrives with coffee, decaf for Kelly, and a folder full of documents. She looks like she hasn't slept. Dark circles under her eyes. Hair pulled back in a messy bun. But her energy is focused, determined. They sit at Kelly's kitchen table, Marcus hovering nearby but giving them space. I've been in meetings all morning, Joan says, sliding the folder across the table. Legal team, PR, board members. Everyone wants to know what happens next. What do you want to happen? Kelly asks. Joan pauses, looks her friend in the eye. I want you to get justice. Real justice. Not just a termination letter and a public apology. I want you to own this. Kelly frowns. What do you mean? I mean a lawsuit. Against Larry. Against the store if necessary. I mean holding a press conference where you tell your story in your own words, not filtered through journalists who don't know you. I mean making sure that what happened to you never happens to anyone else. Kelly's hands tighten around her coffee cup. Joan, I don't know if I can do that. I'm not a public figure. I'm just a woman who wanted to buy a dress. You're Kelly Gray, Joe Bear says fiercely. You built a business from nothing. You employ people. You provide for your community. You're 7 months pregnant, and you walked out of that store with your head high even after a man put his hands on you. You're stronger than you think. Kelly's eyes fill with tears. I'm scared. I know, Joan says, reaching across the table to take her hand. But you're not alone. I'm with you. Marcus is with you. And out there? She gestures toward the window, toward the world beyond. Millions of people are with you. They see you, they believe you, and they're ready to fight with you. Kelly wipes her eyes and takes a shaky breath. Okay, what do we do? Joan opens the folder. We hold a press conference. Tomorrow, you tell your story. I stand beside you. We announce legal action. And we make it clear that this isn't just about one incident. It's about changing the culture. Kelly nods slowly. Okay, let's do it. 3:42 p.m. Outside Maison du Luxe, the protest is growing. What started as a handful of activists with handmade signs has swelled into hundreds. News helicopters circle overhead. Reporters crowd the sidewalks. The energy is electric, angry but controlled, passionate but purposeful. A woman with a megaphone stands on a makeshift platform, her voice echoing down Rodeo Drive. We are tired, she shouts. Tired of being followed in stores. Tired of being assumed guilty. Tired of being told we don't belong. Kelly Gray is all of us, and we will not be silent anymore. The crowd roars in agreement. Signs wave in the air. Luxury for all. My money is green too. Respect isn't optional. Kelly Gray equal all of us. A young black girl, no more than 10, holds a sign that reads, I want to shop without being scared. Cameras capture it all. The passion, the pain, the power of collective voice rising like a tide. 6:18 p.m. That evening, the 3 major networks lead their broadcasts with the story. NBC Nightly News, ABC World News Tonight, CBS Evening News. All of them frame it the same way. The slap heard around the world. A nation confronts racism in retail. It's not just a story anymore. It's a movement, a reckoning, a moment when the world stops and looks at itself and asks, how did we let this happen? And how do we make sure it never happens again? 9:03 p.m. Kelly lies in bed, Marcus asleep beside her, scrolling through the footage of the protests. She sees the signs, the faces, the determination. And for the first time since it happened, she feels something shift inside her. Not healing, not yet, but something close. Hope. 10:47 a.m. The day of the press conference. The grand ballroom at the Beverly Hilton is packed, every seat filled, cameras lined up along the back wall like soldiers at attention. Reporters from every major outlet, CNN, MSNBC, ABC, CBS, The New York Times, The Washington Post, The Guardian, TMZ, all jockeying for position. The energy in the room is electric, anticipatory, the kind of tension that precedes something historic. Joan Johnson stands backstage, her hands trembling slightly as she smooths down her black Armani suit. It's sharp, powerful, chosen specifically to send a message. I am in control. I am not backing down. Beside her, Kelly sits in a chair, one hand resting on her belly. She's wearing a simple navy dress, elegant but understated. Her makeup is light, natural. She wanted people to see her, not a performance. The mark on her cheek has faded, but it's still visible if you look closely. She's not trying to hide it. Marcus stands behind Kelly, his hand on her shoulder. Protective. Steady. "You ready?" Joan asks, her voice low. Kelly takes a breath. "As ready as I'll ever be." Joan nods. "Remember, you don't owe them anything. You tell your story the way you want to tell it, and if it gets too much, we stop, okay?" "Okay." A production assistant appears, headset on, clipboard in hand. "Ms. Johnson, we're ready for you." Joan looks at Kelly one more time. Their eyes meet. A silent conversation passes between them. Years of friendship, trust, and love compressed into a single moment. "Let's do this," Kelly says. 11:00 a.m. The press conference begins. Joan steps out onto the stage first. The camera flashes are immediate, blinding, like a storm of lightning frozen in time. She walks to the podium with her head high, her heels clicking against the hardwood floor. The room falls silent. She adjusts the microphone, looks out at the sea of faces. Reporters, activists, supporters, people who've been waiting for this moment since the video went viral 3 days ago. "Good morning," Joan begins, her voice steady. "My name is Joan Johnson. I am the founder and CEO of Maison du Luxe." A murmur ripples through the crowd. Cameras zoom in. 3 days ago, Joan continues, a video surfaced showing one of my employees assaulting a customer in my store. A pregnant black woman. A woman who came in looking for a dress and left with a handprint on her face and a violation she will carry for the rest of her life. She pauses, lets the words settle. "That woman is Kelly Gray, and she is my best friend." The room erupts, whispers, gasps, cameras clicking like a swarm of mechanical insects. Joan raises a hand. The room quiets. "I stand here today not as a CEO trying to save her brand," Joan says, her voice rising with conviction. "I stand here as a black woman who built something from nothing and watched it be corrupted by the exact kind of prejudice I created my business to fight against." She grips the edges of the podium. "Larry Morgan, the man in that video, worked for me. I hired him. I vetted him. I trusted him to represent the values I claimed to stand for. And he failed. But more than that, I failed. I failed to see the signs. I failed to create a culture where that kind of behavior was impossible. I failed my friend. I failed every black woman who has ever walked into a store and been made to feel like she didn't belong." Her voice cracks, just slightly, but she doesn't look away from the cameras. But failure is not the end of the story. Accountability is. And today, we are holding ourselves, and Larry Morgan, accountable. The room is silent now, every eye on her. Effective immediately, Larry Morgan has been terminated. He will never work for Maison du Luxe again. We are pursuing full legal action in support of Kelly Gray. We are implementing mandatory anti-bias training for every employee. We are reviewing our hiring practices from top to bottom. And we are committing $1 million to organizations that support women of color in business. The crowd erupts again, this time with applause. Not everyone. Some reporters remain stone-faced, skeptical. But enough. Enough to fill the room with sound. Joan steps back from the podium. "Now, I'd like to invite Kelly Gray to say a few words, if she chooses." She turns. Kelly rises from her chair, Marcus steadying her as she walks toward the stage. The room watches in silence as she crosses to the podium, her hand still resting on her belly. Joan steps aside but stays close. I'm here. You're not alone. 11:07 a.m. Kelly speaks. Kelly stands at the microphone and looks out at the crowd. Hundreds of faces staring back at her. Cameras, lights, the weight of the world's attention pressing down on her shoulders. She takes a breath. My name is Kelly Gray, she begins, her voice soft but clear. 3 days ago, I walked into a store to buy a dress. I'm 7 months pregnant. I'm a business owner. I'm a wife. I'm about to be a mother. And none of that mattered to the man who looked at me and decided I didn't belong. Her voice is steady, but the emotion is there, just beneath the surface. He told me not to touch the dress because I'd stain it. He told me I couldn't afford it. He told me to leave. And when I refused, when I stood my ground and insisted on being treated like a human being, he hit me. The room is silent, deathly silent. I've replayed that moment in my head 1,000 times, Kelly continues. I've asked myself what I could have done differently. Should I have left? Should I have stayed quiet? Should I have made myself smaller so he'd feel less threatened? She pauses, looks directly into the cameras. But the answer is no. I shouldn't have had to do anything differently. I shouldn't have had to prove my worth. I shouldn't have had to justify my existence. I was a customer. I deserved respect, and I didn't get it. Her hands grip the podium. This isn't just about me. This is about every Black woman who has ever been followed in a store. Every Latina who's been spoken to like she doesn't understand English. Every woman who's been told, directly or indirectly, that she doesn't belong in spaces designed to make people feel beautiful. Her voice rises now, stronger, fuller. I'm standing here today because I refuse to be silent. I refuse to let what happened to me be forgotten. And I refuse to accept that this is just how things are. We deserve better. We are better. And it's time the world started acting like it. The room explodes. Applause. Cheers. Reporters on their feet. Cameras flashing like fireworks. Kelly steps back from the microphone, her legs shaking, her heart pounding. Joan is there immediately, wrapping an arm around her shoulders. You did it, Joan whispers. You were perfect. Kelly's eyes fill with tears, but she's smiling. I didn't cry. You were a warrior, Joan says. 11:23 a.m. Q&A. The questions come fast and sharp. Ms. Gray, are you pursuing legal action against Larry Morgan? Kelly nods. Yes, my attorney is filing a lawsuit for assault, battery, and intentional infliction of emotional distress. Ms. Johnson, do you feel personally responsible for what happened? Joan doesn't hesitate. Yes, Larry Morgan was my employee. That makes me responsible. But responsibility doesn't mean making excuses. It means taking action. And that's what we're doing. Ms. Gray, how has this affected you emotionally? Kelly pauses. I'm angry. I'm hurt. I'm exhausted. But I'm also hopeful. Because for every one person who thinks they can treat me like I'm less than, there are thousands who are standing with me, who see me, who believe me, and that matters. Ms. Johnson, some people are saying this is a publicity stunt to save your brand. How do you respond? Joan's jaw tightens. If anyone thinks I would exploit my best friend's trauma for publicity, they don't know me. This isn't about saving a brand. This is about doing what's right. And if people choose not to support Maison du Luxe because of what happened, I understand. But I will not compromise my integrity or Kelly's dignity for profit. The room erupts in applause again. 11:47 a.m. Meanwhile, across town, Larry Morgan sits in his darkened apartment, curtains drawn, the glow of his laptop screen the only light in the room. He's watching the press conference live. His hands are shaking. On screen, Kelly speaks. Joan speaks. The cameras flash. The crowd applauds. And Larry watches his life disintegrate in real time. His phone has been buzzing non-stop for 3 days, but he stopped checking it after the death threats started. His social media accounts are deleted. His LinkedIn is gone. His email inbox is full of messages he'll never read. He's been fired, publicly, humiliatingly, and now he's being sued. The termination letter came via email at 6 a.m. this morning. No severance, no references, no second chances. Gross misconduct, violation of company policy, behavior inconsistent with our values, effective immediately. He's already been contacted by 3 news outlets asking for his side of the story. He hasn't responded. His lawyer told him not to. His lawyer. He has a lawyer now, because Kelly Gray has a lawyer, and Joan Johnson has a legal team, and he's about to be buried under the weight of a lawsuit he can't afford to fight. On screen, a reporter asks Kelly if she has a message for Larry Morgan. Kelly pauses, looks directly into the camera. "I hope you learn from this," she says simply. "I hope you understand that your actions have consequences, and I hope you never treat another human being the way you treated me." Larry's stomach twists. He slams the laptop shut. 2:34 p.m. The fallout. By mid-afternoon, Larry's name is trending again. But this time, it's not just outrage. It's over. Larry Morgan fired. Justice for Kelly. Accountability matters. News outlets run stories with headlines like, "Fired, sued, and disgraced. The fall of Larry Morgan." Luxury store manager faces legal action after viral assault video. From manager to pariah, how one slap destroyed a career. Legal analysts weigh in on cable news, predicting that Kelly's lawsuit will be settled quickly and quietly. Larry Morgan has no defense, says one attorney on CNN. The video is clear, the witnesses are credible, and the emotional distress is documented. He'll settle, and he'll disappear. And they're right. By the end of the week, Larry's lawyer reaches out to Kelly's attorney with a settlement offer. It's not enough. They negotiate. They push. And eventually, they reach an agreement. Larry Morgan will pay Kelly Gray $250,000 in damages. He will issue a public apology, and he will complete mandatory anti-bias training. But more than that, he'll carry the weight of what he did for the rest of his life. 1 week later. Kelly sits in her nursery, painting the walls a soft lavender. Marcus is assembling the crib. The lawsuit is settled. The press conference is behind her. The world is slowly moving on to the next outrage. But Kelly isn't the same person she was before. She's stronger, clearer, more certain of her worth. Her phone buzzes. A text from Joan. "Lunch tomorrow, I have something to show you." Kelly smiles and types back. "Wouldn't miss it." 2:17 p.m. 1 week after the press conference. Kelly's living room is bathed in afternoon light, golden and warm, filtering through sheer curtains that billow slightly in the breeze from the open window. She's curled up on the couch, a knit blanket draped over her legs, her swollen feet propped up on a pillow. The baby has been restless all morning, kicking, shifting, reminding Kelly that she's running out of room in there. Marcus is at work, reluctantly. He didn't want to leave her alone, but Kelly insisted. She's tired of being treated like she's fragile. She's not broken. She's healing. There's a difference. The doorbell rings, and Kelly eases herself off the couch with a small grunt. Everything takes effort these days. Walking, standing, existing in a body that's no longer just hers. She opens the door to find Joan standing on the porch, holding 2 takeout bags and a tray of drinks. "I brought lunch," Joan announces, stepping inside without waiting for an invitation. "Thai food, extra spring rolls, and before you ask, yes, I got the mango sticky rice." Kelly laughs, the sound soft and genuine. "You know me too well. 15 years of friendship, Kel. I know your cravings better than you do." They settle at the kitchen table, unpacking containers of pad thai, green curry, and sticky rice. For a few minutes, they just eat in comfortable silence, the kind of silence that only exists between people who don't need to fill every moment with words. Joan watches Kelly carefully. The bruise is gone now, faded into memory, but Joan can still see the faint shadow of it when the light hits Kelly's face a certain way. Or maybe she's just imagining it. Maybe she'll always see it, even when it's not there anymore. "How are you feeling?" Joan asks finally. Kelly sets down her fork and considers the question. Physically, tired, pregnant. The baby's doing gymnastics in there. She places a hand on her belly. Emotionally, I don't know. It's complicated. Talk to me. Kelly takes a breath. I feel lighter, I guess. Like I put down something I didn't even realize I was carrying. The press conference, the lawsuit, all of it. It was exhausting. But it was also necessary. I needed to say it out loud. I needed people to hear me. "They heard you," Joan says softly. "The whole world heard you." "I know." Kelly's eyes are distant, thoughtful. "But now it's over, and I'm supposed to go back to normal. Except I don't know what normal is anymore. I'm not the same person I was 2 weeks ago." Joan nods. She understands. She's not the same either. "You know what's weird?" Kelly continues. "I keep thinking about that dress, the one I wanted to try on. I never even got to touch it properly. And now every time I think about it, I don't see beauty. I just see his face, his hand, the way he looked at me like I was nothing." Joan's chest tightens. "Kelly." "I'm not saying this to make you feel guilty," Kelly interrupts gently. "I'm just processing, trying to figure out how to take back what he stole from me." "What did he steal?" "Joy," Kelly says simply. "The joy of walking into a beautiful space and feeling like I belong there. The joy of touching something exquisite and thinking, India, I could own this. He took that from me, and I'm trying to figure out how to get it back." Joan sets down her fork. Her eyes are burning, but she refuses to cry. Not now. Not when Kelly needs her to be strong. "I'm so sorry," Joan whispers. "I know I've said it 1,000 times, but I need you to know. I will never stop being sorry. I will never stop wishing I could go back and do things differently." Kelly reaches across the table and takes Joan's hand. "Joan, look at me." Joan lifts her eyes. "You didn't fail me," Kelly says firmly. "You found out who really worked for you. And you handled it the right way. You didn't make excuses. You didn't protect him. You stood beside me and you said, This is wrong, and I'm going to fix it. That's not failure. That's integrity. Joan's voice cracks. But it happened in my store, under my watch. And you made it right, Kelly insists. You can't control what other people do, Joan. You can only control how you respond. And you responded with courage and accountability. You didn't have to fire him publicly. You didn't have to hold that press conference. You didn't have to put your reputation on the line for me. But you did. Because you're my sister. And that's what sisters do. The dam breaks. Joan's tears spill over, hot and fast. And Kelly stands, awkwardly, heavily, and pulls her into a hug. They hold each other in the middle of Kelly's kitchen. Two women who've survived something neither of them should have had to survive. I told you to wait for the grand opening, Joan says through her tears, her voice muffled against Kelly's shoulder. Kelly laughs, a wet, broken sound. I know, I should have listened. You never listen, Joan teases, pulling back and wiping her eyes. That's why we're friends. You're stubborn as hell. Takes one to know one. They sit back down, both of them wiping their faces. Both of them smiling despite the tears. 3:42 p.m. Joan pulls out her laptop and sets it on the table. I want to show you something. Kelly leans forward, curious. Joan opens a presentation. Polished, professional, the kind of thing she's pitched to investors 100 times. But this is different. This is personal. After the press conference, Joan begins. I couldn't stop thinking about what you said, about how this isn't just about you. It's about every woman who's ever been made to feel like she doesn't belong. Kelly nods. So I started asking myself, what can I actually do? Not just performative gestures, not just statements and donations. What real, tangible change can I make? She clicks to the next slide. It's a list of initiatives, detailed and specific. 1. Mandatory anti-bias training for all employees. Quarterly workshops led by certified DEI consultants. Focus on implicit bias, microaggressions, and inclusive customer service. Mandatory for all staff, from entry-level to executive. 2. Anonymous reporting system. Employees and customers can report discrimination without fear of retaliation. Third-party oversight to ensure accountability. 3. Diverse hiring practices. Partnership with HBCUs and minority-focused recruitment programs. Blind resume reviews to reduce unconscious bias. Commitment to 50% BIPOC representation in leadership by 2027. 4. The Gray Fund. Kelly's breath catches. The Gray Fund? Joan clicks to the next slide. It's a logo, elegant, powerful, with Kelly's name at the center. A foundation, Joan explains, her voice steady but emotional. Dedicated to supporting women of color in business, grants for startups, scholarships for education, legal support for women who face discrimination in commercial spaces. It's named after you, Kelly, because you turned your pain into power, and I want to honor that. Kelly stares at the screen, her eyes filling with tears. Joan, I don't know what to say. You don't have to say anything, Joan says softly. This is my way of making sure what happened to you never happens to anyone else. Or if it does, they have the resources to fight back. Kelly wipes her eyes. How much are we talking? Initial funding of $2 million, Joan says, from Maison du Luxe's profits. And we're launching a public donation campaign. I want this to be bigger than us, Kelly. I want this to be a movement. Kelly's hand trembles as she reaches out to touch the screen. Her name, her story, transformed into something that could change lives. This is, Joan, this is incredible. You're incredible, Joan corrects. I'm just following your lead. They sit in silence for a moment, both of them staring at the logo, at the promise it represents. Can I make one request? Kelly asks. Anything. Can we add a mentorship component? Pair successful women with young girls who are just starting out? I keep thinking about that little girl at the protest. The one with the sign that said, I want to shop without being scared. I want her to grow up knowing she doesn't have to be scared, that there are women who will stand with her. Joan's smile is wide and genuine. Consider it done. 5:18 p.m. The sun is starting to set, casting long shadows across the kitchen. Joan is packing up the leftover food, insisting Kelly keep it all for dinner. Marcus will appreciate not having to cook, Joan says. Marcus can't cook, Kelly laughs. That man burns water. They're laughing when Kelly suddenly winces, her hand flying to her belly. Joan freezes. What's wrong? Nothing, Kelly says quickly, breathing through it. Just Braxton Hicks. She's been doing this all week. Are you sure? Should I call Marcus? Should we go to the hospital? Joan, relax, Kelly says, smiling despite the discomfort. I'm fine. The baby's fine. She's just reminding me she's in charge now. Joan exhales slowly. You scared me. I scare myself sometimes, Kelly admits. I'm about to be responsible for a whole human, a black girl who's going to grow up in a world that still looks at women like us and makes assumptions. And I have to teach her how to navigate that without losing herself. You'll be an amazing mother, Joan says with certainty, because you're already teaching her the most important lesson, how to stand up for yourself with grace and strength. Kelly's eyes soften. I hope so. Joan pulls her into one more hug. You will, and I'll be right here. Auntie Joan, ready to spoil her rotten and teach her all the things you won't approve of. Kelly laughs. I wouldn't have it any other way. 3 p.m. Joan stands on Kelly's porch, the evening air cool and fragrant with jasmine. She turns back to look at her friend, framed in the doorway, one hand on her belly, the other resting on the doorframe. Thank you, Joan says, for trusting me, for letting me stand beside you, for reminding me why I started this business in the first place. Thank you, Kelly echoes, for being my sister, for fighting for me, for turning something horrible into something hopeful. They hold each other's gaze for a long moment. We're going to change things, Joan says. Together. Together, Kelly agrees. Joan walks to her car, but before she gets in, she turns back one more time. Hey, Cal. Yeah? When that baby comes, I'm buying her first outfit, and it's going to be fabulous. Kelly laughs, the sound carrying across the yard. I wouldn't expect anything less. Joan drives away, and Kelly stands in the doorway, watching until the tail lights disappear around the corner. Then she closes the door, locks it, and walks back inside. The house is quiet, peaceful, but it's not empty. It's full of love, full of strength, full of the promise that tomorrow will be better than today. And for the first time in 2 weeks, Kelly believes it. 1 year later. September 15th, grand reopening of Maison du Luxe. The champagne silk dress hangs in the window display exactly where it was a year ago, but everything else has changed. Rodeo Drive is packed, not with protesters this time, but with supporters, press, customers, and people who've been waiting for this moment. The official reopening of Maison du Luxe, under its new vision, new policies, and new promise. Joan Johnson stands at the entrance, flanked by her new management team, a diverse group of men and women who were hired not just for their retail experience, but for their commitment to dignity, respect, and inclusion. She's wearing a white blazer and black pants, her hair pulled back in an elegant bun, her smile genuine and hard-earned. Beside her stands a plaque, freshly installed on the marble wall next to the glass doors. Brushed gold letters on black stone. Respect isn't a luxury, it's a right. Beneath it, in smaller text, in honor of Kelly Gray and every woman who has ever been made to feel she doesn't belong. The crowd applauds as Joan steps forward to cut the ceremonial ribbon. Cameras flash. Reporters call out questions. But Joan doesn't rush. She takes a moment to look at the plaque, to run her fingers over the letters of her best friend's name, to remember why this moment matters. She thinks about that day, the video, the slap, the way the world stopped and then exploded all at once. She thinks about the sleepless nights, the difficult conversations, the painful reckoning with her own blind spots. And she thinks about Kelly, 7 months pregnant, standing in this very spot, refusing to back down. Joan cuts the ribbon. The doors open, and Maison du Luxe is reborn. Inside the boutique, the interior has been redesigned. It's still elegant, still luxurious, but there's a warmth now that wasn't there before. The lighting is softer. The displays are more inviting. There are chairs scattered throughout, not just for customers to sit while they shop, but for anyone who needs to rest. Pregnant women, elderly shoppers, people with disabilities, anyone, because comfort is a right, not a privilege. The staff moves through the space with ease, greeting every customer with genuine warmth. No assessments, no judgment, just hospitality. A young black woman in her 20s walks in, her eyes wide with wonder. She's wearing jeans and a hoodie, nothing fancy, nothing designer, but she's met with a smile from the associate nearest the door. "Welcome to Maison du Luxe," the associate says warmly. "Can I help you find anything today?" The young woman hesitates. "I'm just looking." "Take your time," the associate says. "And if you have any questions, I'm Jasmine. I'll be right over here." No hovering, no suspicion. Just respect. The young woman walks through the boutique slowly, her fingers grazing fabrics, her eyes taking in the beauty of the space. When she reaches the champagne silk dress in the window display, she stops. There's a small placard beside it. The Kelly Gray dress, a symbol of dignity, resilience, and the right to belong. The young woman stares at it for a long moment. Then she pulls out her phone and takes a picture. Joan watches from across the boutique, her chest tight with emotion. This is what she built, not just a store, a space where everyone is welcome. 6:47 p.m. Kelly's home. Kelly Gray sits in her nursing chair, cradling her 2-month-old daughter against her chest. The baby is sleeping, her tiny fist curled against Kelly's collarbone, her breathing soft and rhythmic. Marcus is in the kitchen, attempting to cook dinner and doing a questionable job of it, based on the smell of something slightly burnt drifting into the nursery. Kelly smiles. He's trying. She looks down at her daughter, Amara Grace Gray. Amara, meaning eternal. Grace, meaning dignity. Kelly runs a gentle finger along Amara's cheek, marveling at the softness of her skin, the perfection of her tiny features. This little girl has no idea what her mother went through to bring her into a world that's just a little bit better than it was a year ago. But she will know. One day, when she's old enough to understand, Kelly will tell her the story. Not to burden her, but to empower her. To teach her that standing up for yourself isn't about being loud or aggressive. It's about knowing your worth and refusing to let anyone diminish it. Kelly's phone buzzes on the side table. A text from Joan. Reopening was beautiful. Wish you could have been there. Can't wait for the christening tomorrow. I have Amara's outfit ready and it's perfect. Kelly smiles and types back with one hand. Can't wait to see it. Thank you for everything, Joan. For all of it. Joan's response is immediate. You changed my life, Kel. I should be thanking you. Kelly sets the phone down and closes her eyes, rocking gently. Amara stirs, makes a tiny sound, and settles back into sleep. Peace. That's what this feels like. Not the absence of struggle, but the presence of something stronger. Hope. The next day, Amara's christening. The church is small, intimate, filled with family and close friends. Sunlight streams through stained glass windows, casting rainbow patterns across the wooden pews. Kelly sits in the front row, Marcus beside her, Amara in her arms, wrapped in a white lace christening gown that belonged to Kelly's grandmother. Joan sits beside Kelly, wearing a soft pink dress and holding the second outfit she insisted on buying, a tiny designer onesie with the words, "Owned by Auntie Joan," embroidered in gold thread. Kelly laughed when she saw it. Marcus rolled his eyes, but they both knew Joan wasn't joking. The pastor speaks about new beginnings, about grace, about the responsibility of raising a child in a world that needs light. Kelly listens, her heart full, her eyes damp. When it's time for the godparents to stand, Joan rises. She places her hand gently on Amara's head and makes her vow. I promise to love you, protect you, and remind you every day that you are worthy of every beautiful thing this world has to offer. I promise to teach you to stand tall, speak up, and never let anyone make you feel small. And I promise to spoil you absolutely rotten. Laughter ripples through the church. Kelly looks up at Joan, tears streaming down her face, and mouths, "Thank you." Joan mouths back, "Always." 3 months later. The annual Women in Business Gala is one of the biggest events of the year. Held at the Beverly Hilton, it draws CEOs, entrepreneurs, celebrities, and influencers from across the country. This year, Kelly Gray is the keynote speaker. She stands backstage, hands trembling slightly as she smooths down the fabric of her dress. The champagne silk dress, the one she was slapped for touching. Joan had it tailored to fit her perfectly, post-pregnancy. When Kelly first put it on, she cried. Not from pain, but from reclamation. This dress no longer represents violation. It represents victory. You ready? Marcus asks, adjusting his tie. I think so, Kelly says. You're going to be amazing, he assures her, kissing her forehead. Joan appears, radiant in a deep emerald gown. You look stunning, Kel. I feel powerful, Kelly admits. Good, Joan says, because you are. The production assistant calls Kelly's name. It's time. The ballroom is filled with over 500 people. Every seat is taken. The energy is electric. Kelly walks onto the stage, the champagne silk catching the light with every step. The audience erupts in applause. Not polite applause, but thunderous, sustained, the kind that shakes the room. Kelly stands at the podium and waits for the noise to die down. When it finally does, she takes a breath and begins. "A little over a year ago," Kelly says, her voice steady, "I walked into a store to buy a dress. This dress." She gestures to the gown she's wearing. The audience leans forward. "I was told not to touch it. I was told I couldn't afford it. I was told I didn't belong there. And when I refused to leave, when I insisted on being treated like a human being, I was struck across the face." The room is silent. "That moment changed my life," Kelly continues. "Not because of the violence, though that was real. Not because of the humiliation, though that was real too. But because of what came after." She pauses, her eyes scanning the crowd. What came after was a choice. I could have stayed silent. I could have accepted that this is just how the world works. That some spaces aren't meant for people who look like me. That dignity is reserved for those who can afford it. Her voice rises. But I didn't accept that. I refused to accept that. And because I refused, something shifted. People started sharing their stories. Policies started changing. Conversations started happening. And a man who thought he could put his hands on me without consequence learned that respect isn't negotiable. The audience erupts again, but Kelly raises a hand. "Here's what I want you to understand," she says, her tone softer now, more intimate. "That man thought my skin would stain this dress. He thought my presence would devalue something beautiful. But the truth is, it's the other way around." She smooths the silk fabric, letting the words settle. "My skin, our skin, doesn't stain beauty. It creates it. We don't devalue spaces by existing in them. We elevate them. And anyone who can't see that doesn't deserve to be in the room." The ballroom explodes. Standing ovation. Cameras flashing. People wiping their eyes. Kelly stands there, bathed in light, wearing the dress that was once a symbol of rejection and is now a declaration of power. "So, to every woman who has ever been told she doesn't belong," Kelly says, her voice cutting through the applause, "I see you. I believe you. And I'm standing here tonight to tell you, you belong everywhere. Everywhere. And don't let anyone, not a manager, not a system, not a world that's afraid of your power, tell you otherwise." The ovation continues. People are on their feet, tears streaming, phones recording, capturing this moment for history. Kelly steps back from the podium, and Joan is there, waiting in the wings. They embrace, holding each other as the applause washes over them. "You did it," Joan whispers. "We did it," Kelly corrects. 1 year later. The Gray Fund has awarded over $2 million in grants to women of color starting their own businesses. Maison du Luxe has opened 3 new locations, all operating under the same principles of dignity and respect. Larry Morgan settled the lawsuit and disappeared from public life. Last anyone heard, he's working at a warehouse outside of Phoenix. Kelly's spa chain has expanded to 5 locations. Amara is walking now, getting into everything, and absolutely adored by Auntie Joan. And the champagne silk dress hangs in the Smithsonian's National Museum of African American History and Culture, a permanent exhibit titled, "Respect Isn't a Luxury, The Kelly Gray Story." Beneath it, a placard reads, "In 2025, Kelly Gray walked into a store and was told she didn't belong. She walked out and changed the world." If this story moved you, hit that like button and subscribe to Speak Black. Because every story we tell is a step toward a world where respect is a right, not a luxury. Thank you for watching.